begins.
Yeah.
Are we getting a little live? What's it called? Music concert? No?
What?
I just started singing, so I was like, okay, want to give you
no,
space to.
No.
Okay. All good.
I just like to quote songs.
So karaoke, basically.
No,
Okay.
no. I mean, maybe in private. never in public. No.
Okay.
My kids made it pretty clear that I should not sing.
I mean, practice makes perfect, right? Or makes better.
I would have to practice a lot.
All right, we're live. Welcome to another Spec 3.0 meeting. This time we have 3 things on the agenda. Small things, I think. But before getting into it, do any of you want to have anything to add? Anything you'd like to discuss?
No. I just want to share I have a good day today.
Nice. Why?
Why? Don't know, but I think it's just because the conference is over. So all the pressure of the conference. And now the work is like magic.
That's nice.
It's a kind of magic, and about quoting songs.
I've never heard that song, I think.
Oh, it's a kind of magic. No?
No.
I'm gonna send you later.
How old is it?
Shut up.
Really? Do you know that? Really? Are you joking?
Oh, it's probably my I suck at singing. That's why.
Maybe.
But you know Queen, right?
Yes. Though I haven't listened much to it though.
Okay.
All right, Medic, do you wanna spin things off?
Yeah, sure. Can I share my screen?
Nope.
Yeah, I have privilege.
Okay, good.
Okay, but I need to check that this one. Yeah. So okay. So yeah, I created the pull request with adding the server and channel traits object. And the reason is the problem with the current channel and operation relationship in the next major version. Yeah. So as you know or not, the messages now will be located in the channel object, in the channel level.
Can you zoom in a bit, Medic?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
That's okay. It will be fine. Yeah. So at the moment, messages will be on the channel level, not on the operation level. And we don't have yet, but we have the pull request for that to filter some message on the operational level. Yeah. So it means that you will define some messages, some list of messages that you can send or receive on the given channel. And then you should also filter the given message to create the subset on the operational level. Yes, but at the moment we don't have that functionality. So yeah, and another problem with the current approach with this channel and operation is that every example based on the very simple channel. So we only create examples to to show the next major version of Essence API, and with simple channel with only the address and messages. But we forget about that if someone want to to create the same channel with the same information but with the different message list, need to redefine the given value each time for each channel. Yeah, so that pull request try to fix that. And for example, you can see on this example, yes, I created that example on another example in this comment. So if you want, you can also go to it. Okay, I will pass where I have my Chat. Okay, here. Yeah. So yeah, you have the link to this pull request in the chat. Yeah. So in this example, we have some channels, the ping, pong, heartbeat, etc., etc. And as you can see, we have everything the same. I mean, these addresses, parameters are the same, servers, bindings also. Only we have the different list of the messages here. Yeah. So for the ping channel, we have the ping message, and for the pong message, etc. Yeah, for heartbeat the same. But that's the problem, because for every channel we need to redefine the same information. And if we want to not to duplicate the data, we should go with the channel traits to have possibility to create some reusable part of the channel, and then pass these reusable parts inside the channel, yes, to not duplicate the data. And the same with the server. So the channel traits and the server trait will work in the same way as the operation and the message trait. So yeah, and here you exactly see this example with the traits. Yeah. So so what do you think? It's clear or not?
Not at all. Can you
Yeah.
can you go back 1 minute ago? You talked about this ping pong.
Mhm.
You said that there's a ping on channel ping and pong on channel pong.
Yeah,
And you
messages, yeah.
said that this is a problem. Like, what problem is it? Like, what's
The problem is that, for example, at the moment, okay, so we have that problem that if you want to specify that the given operation, yeah, operates on some list of messages. So, for example, on the pong message, yeah. So
yeah,
at the
but if if channel has only one message,
yeah,
then why would I in my operation filter and specify this message if there's just one message in the channel?
but you can have the same address. You can have the same address, the same parameters for the address, the same servers information, yeah, and also the same bindings information, maybe also the summary, title, or description. And if you only want to filter, so it means that at the moment, yes, you want to pin the given channel in the given operation, yes, but you will have the relationship between them. So the operation only will operate on the given message in this way in ping, yeah. So you need to redeclare that whole data in each channel. Only if you want to
if
change.
if all is the same,
Yeah.
why do I need trade, and why would I create multiple channels and not one channel as it is in the previous version with multiple messages, and then I filter out these messages on an operation level?
Because at the moment we cannot filter messages on operation.
Yeah, but we will, because
We
it's part
will.
of the request reply, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that pull request was created before the request reply. I mean, this new approach in the request reply. So
okay. No, it makes sense.
yeah. So that's the problem. Yeah. But I think that we can go with two approaches, with filtering on the operation level and also with the channel traits. If you, of course, you don't want to, redefine some, for example, the address and the parameters. Yeah. Yeah. And also in the next major version, we'll have that feature or the problem, of course. In which way do you see that? That you will need to create two documents for client and the server. And sometimes the information for the channel, address, parameters, binding, can be the same, but you only change the message. Yeah. That, for example, from the client, you can only send, for example, 2 messages, but from the server side, the broker side, you can have the multiplier, the another set of messages. But yeah. So what do you think about that?
And what about server traits again?
Server the same purpose. if you want, if you can,
Yeah, but what's the
make
example like that we needed? Like,
no, at the moment I don't have any example. The problem is that we'll have of course, if we'll accept the channel traits, we'll have the message trait, operation trait, and channel trait, but why we don't have the server trait? You have trait for everything.
I mean, I don't see why wouldn't we have it, but yeah, we need examples, like we're always questioning if there's no use case.
yeah.
And in case of server traits, if they are needed, we can always add them in 3.1 or 3.2 or 3.3.
Yeah, sure.
And in case of channel traits, the problem is that the example that you're showing is, I mean, I know what it's based on. It's based on Kraken example of WebSocket. And in case of this example of Kraken, like I would not rewrite Kraken. I would not rewrite Kraken 2.0 to 3.0 in the way you did it, because the Kraken it's a WebSocket, so and it's a WebSocket, and there's just one channel, there's just one address. Because it's just on one channel where you just connect once to the WebSocket, and then you exchange messages, and you have different replies to a given message.
Yeah.
So and it's pure. And so what I would do, I would basically create one channel with address slash, and then have messages and list of all messages that are available on a given channel. And then on the operation level, I would use really the filtering message on a operation level, where I can say, okay, this is ping operation, and that's the message, and that's the reply. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, exactly. I
so
know
I would not
that,
use,
but
so I would not really structure this file this way, and then therefore I would not need the channel trait.
yeah, but this example is based on the request reply example without the filtering, because we didn't have the filtering on the request reply proposition. Yes, I created that in 1 month ago. So yeah, so 2 weeks ago, or yeah, 2 weeks ago, we have this 3.0 meeting.
I mean,
not the clarify, but
I get the point. It's just that, like, now we simply don't have a use
yeah,
case for channel
but
trait. Yeah.
to be honest, we can also use this Kraken example, of course, not exactly the Kraken specification, but only show that maybe but maybe the people can have also the problem. Yes, of course, when we will add this message field on the operation level, maybe 99% use case of the channel trait, will be wiped out. Yes, but to be honest,
I kind of understand the channel trait, actually, because Lucas, while you would do that for your WebSocket example, I would, for example, not use it that way. I would have a channel for each specific operation where it's clustered together. For example, in a request replies scenario, I would have a specific channel for just one message and not having everything under the same channel.
But why?
Because then I could, for each operation, I can reference that specific channel that just has those specific messages defined that that the channel has for this specific scenario. That's the alternative approach, right?
Yeah, it's
but even in this case for channel traits, it's like channel traits might not be that important for WebSocket scenarios where the address is exactly the same. But if you use parameters, for example, that go again in multiple channels, let's say that you have a user ID, for example, as a parameter, you could add a trait for that, or a channel trait, and then just reference it for all of the channels, and then you don't have to define the specific parameter there for each of them. So I think it makes sense. Not sure if that made sense.
For me, it's a difference. Yeah. Of course, in the channel trait, we can define everything except the messages and traits. Yeah. Also the front at
Why not messages?
because this is the same problem as the payload in the message level. You cannot define the payload in message trait level because you can override something. And the problem is, and the problem with the channel messages is bigger because where I have this comment? Okay, this one. Yeah, so the front ask why we shouldn't add the possibility to define the messages, because you can then make something like that. You will create the messages, yeah, some message, and then you will exactly override the message on from the channel level. Yeah.
Right. Did you get anything that I said, Lucas? Like at all?
I mean, I heard when you said, like, when you were explaining why you would take the opposite approach, and then you said like parameters, and then I lost everything.
Okay, so I think that WebSocket example is a bad example for this channel traits because it depends on what use case you like, how you want to design it, basically, right? But if you have, let's just say that you have a parameter for 3 different channels that goes like, for example, a use ID. If that is the exact same parameter definition, you can use server or channel traits to define that specific parameter and then just reference it in all of them, instead of having to redefine parameters and then use ID.
You can
and
even
then
use
reference it.
yeah, you can, yeah, exactly. You
So
can
there's
even
it's just 2 approaches, right?
yeah.
So that's why I think that channel traits make sense to it. But yeah, it depends.
I mean, the conclusion is really to see the example. I mean,
Yes.
without example, without use case, it's hard to agree to add feature, basically.
You have the example. Here you have this example. Come on.
But he don't like your example.
Maybe.
But
I mean,
here's
I
Yeah,
just
but
know where
it's-
it's coming from, and it's not
it's
not
based on
real.
the request reply previous example on the Kraken. So yeah, this one, and Jonas write about it. Where? Here. Yeah, so you have this Kraken WebSocket example with the request reply, as I remember. Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, you have the few channels and only difference with the message, yeah, because the address is the same. And then in the operation, you exactly have the reference to the corresponding channel with the, the given message on which you want to operate. And then on the reply, you exactly have the response channel, yeah, with the response message.
Yeah, but again, like, so it's the same situation like with your pull request. It's the thing is that when this proposal was opened based on the Kraken, the message was not yet possible on the operation level. So that's why Heiko created 3.0 Kraken in this way. He was basically forced by the 3.0 proposal to do it this way. And
my pull request was created before that.
Yeah, but I'm just giving you an come on. I mean, I'm not saying that your proposal is bad. Just give me a real life example. That's it. Like, because this example from request reply pull request is not yet merged. Like, it's the Kraken example that we're operating now on, just to visualize the proposal. It's not final. That's why I actually took time last week to rewrite the ADIO, which is like actually production real life example of request reply, to actually check the proposal with real example. That's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? So I mean, I'm just trying to give you advice to
You just
Try-
want more examples, more use cases.
show like
makes sense.
example of basing on some like document, because now we know that like it really I don't, I mean, like this Kraken example, once we have this message filtering on a operation level, like really repeating all this information on a channel level and having like channel per message in this example, it's a lot. Like there are like 60 messages or something, like no 60, not 60, like 20 or something. So it's like 20 channels, just I mean, so that's why it's hard example in my opinion.
I'm gonna add an example that showcases it where it's not WebSocket, where the address is different and you use different parameters. I'm gonna show an example with that.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna add it later.
Yeah, and same for the server. Maybe there's already one of the examples that is not yet rewritten to 3.0 that where you can showcase.
Showcase can be that you have the same information for server, but you only change the purpose. So I mean, change the stage, production, development, etc. Yeah? So you only have the difference with the host, and maybe also with the servers. Sorry, the variables. But the binding security will be the same. Yes.
Yeah.
Probably also we have in the example.
Yeah. So just take some time, show the example, and there are examples actually, like maybe it's one of the use cases is with Kafka when we added this tagging on the servers. Maybe like it makes a lot of sense that you're gonna just have only tag specified per server, and then the rest is the trait. But just show it on an example. Like.
We have this bigger streetlight, as I remember, maybe in the React component.
No, Kafka, streetlight Kafka is bigger.
No.
It has tags already, I think.
I remember that we have the example with 3 servers on the streetlight. And probably I need to check that.
Yeah. Is it in the Kafka one? There are 3 servers.
No, we had. I don't remember when, but we had. Or maybe Spec. Where I have this one? Maybe in editor. No, this one is also test. Okay, I will check that, but because really I remember that we have some example with streetlight with 3 servers and we only change the stage and maybe one variable, server variable, but yeah. So, okay, so we can end this with discussion, or if you want to add something.
I know, me no, like my suggestion is just add examples. And anyway, like I think that's the way forward. Like I don't think we have it written down anywhere in the requirements or contribution guide about like long term. Every new feature in the spec should come with an example YAML file. Anyway,
agreed.
Because later it's like so hard to explain to someone like why you even added it.
Yeah, it just backs the change, right? Why it's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else for that agenda item?
No. For my side, no.
Well, it's you again, Magic. I'm not sure you have anything for the next item as it's already been.
Which one? I don't remember.
Required fields in operation.
Yeah, but we merged that. Yeah, so we had the options to define, the possibility to define the action and the channel, yes, as I remember, on operation trait, yeah. And we removed that because on the operation trait that this fields I required,
Right.
So yeah. So we can only define on the operation, not on the operation trait level. Yeah, and that's it.
Alright. Anything to add, Lucas?
To what? Like in general, are we finishing?
No.
Oh, yeah. No, nothing to add.
Oh, okay.
I'm still good.
I'm just asking. All right. Anything? So I'm gonna ruin your day now, Lucas. I'm moving on to references.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to. My wife is calling me.
Fuck. So,
Hit me.
right. So 2 meetings ago, I shared one of the use cases for references where we're kind of trying to map what are the expected behavior when we encounter references for tooling, and what is, yeah, basically what is the expected behavior. So the one I'm going to highlight, let me see if I can share my screen. Wow, I am lagging. All right, so the one that we talked about last time was whenever we, let me find the example, you're free. Whenever you reference something using the, if you want your schema payload to be draft 7 and you use references there, should it be possible that the tooling would automatically map this reference to the local one that's defined down here?
Yeah, I remember.
And the basic conclusion here, or not the conclusion, but none of us really like the idea. Plain and simple. Now the next example is, so this was for draft 7. So what about when it's one of the newer drafts? Because in this version here, it's actually defined what they call these compound schemas, which is where they finalize that this should indeed be possible in at least a JSON schema perspective. And this is how OpenAPI handles it as well. So this is supported in OpenAPI, where it should automatically match these references.
Is it supported by tooling or only by specification?
By specification. I have no idea what the tooling is.
And that's the problem.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just to clarify, I didn't get it. So what's supported? Like, so for us, you can provide schema format, you provide the version, and then the payload should match this version. And what's and what do you mean, like that in OpenAPI it's supported, like that you can? I didn't get this part.
So let me backtrack a bit. So in draft 7, there's nothing that within the draft 7 schema spec, the specification for it, there's nothing that defines this behavior. It's implicit in some sense that this should be mapped. So they finalized that behavior in 2019 and upwards. Now OpenAPI switched over their payload definition. You can only define it using JSON schema, and you can only define it in 3.1. In OpenAPI 3.1, they switched to 2021, I think. I can't remember whether it was 2019 or 2021. But there they kind of they finalized this behavior where this scenario in OpenAPI should be or is supported. And I can even change schema. I can even share a link where it's being described better.
I think we would have to change the headline of the spec, that it's no longer human readable if we do it. But yeah, continue, please.
Yes. Yeah, so the whole point is that or what I'm trying to get at is as soon as we set a schema format here, whatever is defined within payload technically is not async API anymore. Like in theory, it doesn't follow async API in a general sense.
It follows the schema format, basically.
Exactly. It follows whatever we defined here.
So you basically need to check the schema format, check the version. If the version is this and not the other one, then you check if the reference from the payload is in the components. Then you match the name. Then you check if the idea is there. If idea is there, then you go back to payload reference and resolve reference.
And optionally, yes, also check the another files. If you have the schema in another file.
Yeah. so I was describing the easy.
Yeah, easy. So much taller, really.
the alternative description is that once you load, like when you pass this document, you basically map all of the schemas that's found where you use the key, this ID, and then the schema as value. And whenever you encounter a reference, you see, have I already loaded this schema before? If yes, then just use that value and that's it. Or if it hasn't, then go out and fetch it wherever it's defined. That's the alternative description of it. And that's kind of the way that it's interpreted, at least in JSON schema. But yeah, thoughts?
I think I forgot to give you a public statement on it, right? Because it was before the conference.
On the last one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
485.
So yeah, that's based on the last comments on the last use case where it was draft 7. I think it's pretty clear that there's just two different understandings of what, or not different understandings, there's different use cases. There's the ones that really, there's some people that want to use this feature, and there's some that don't. That's just the reality. And the only thing I can say in terms of when we want to create a tool that understands references in a context, for example, well, now I'm loading an async API file and dereference that, then it should understand based on what your options are. Like, do I want to support compound schemas? Mm-hmm. If that is set to true, then do this behavior. If it's false, then do this behavior. So I think it's more, I don't think we will ever agree with like to any of these points, because I'm not even sure how to describe it, but it's like polar opposites of, like, it creates too much complexity, and then but the spec defines it, so which one do you want to support?
The question is if anyone is really using it, if there's no tooling support.
Yeah, I would love to know whether OpenAPI, any OpenAPI documents actually uses this.
Yeah, but even with plain JSON schema.
Oh,
this ID matching.
Like, well, technically we do.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, not too long, and that's the real problem.
So for those who don't know, so we have JSON schema documents that we use to validate async API documents. And in those schema files, we actually use this very behavior at the moment. The problem is that the tooling are not mature enough to understand this behavior. So this means that a lot of different tools, for example, VS Code, don't understand such a schema when it's bundled together.
Yeah.
I tried to reach out to I used let me see if I can find it.
last comment from my wife.
Yeah. So the bundling tool that we use, I tried to ask whether it would make sense that we support, or whether the tool would support two different behaviors as well. So either you do the default one that's defined with this compound weird complex thing, or it just changes the references to absolute references, and that's it. Because then all tools would be able to understand it. And the response is basically, it's a VS Code bug, not my problem in the short terms. Kind of like
in the end, it's VS Code bug, right?
Yes.
Like the plugin bug.
It is.
It is.
So I understand also if the tool is not architectured to support these different behaviors, then it's also a big ask as well. So I understand it.
But it's like so from my perspective as a maintainer of the Spec in async API, if I would see that there's a tool that is not maintained under async API, but we know that tooling is completely differently implementing something in a wrong way, or then I would go approach and try to help solve the problem, have an open discussion, because luckily it's all on GitHub.
Yeah. I agree.
But of course I agree that like in the end, like it's you can't save the whole world. But that's what you have stats for. Like, so if you see the plugin is used by a million of people or something like this, then like I think it's worth.
Yeah. For the tooling perspective, I am I think I'm gonna reach out to what's his name? So the tool that we use is what's it called? Magic JSON reference.
We don't use that anymore.
We don't?
Nope. Yeah,
What
the
do we
Spectral
use?
use their own.
Oh.
What?
The Spectral use their own. So
but do they understand this?
Nope. And that's the problem, because a lot of company who base, their product on the open API, on describing the API, yes, to develop the API, don't support every feature from the latest open API. And that's another problem, that if we will, introduce such a feature, probably maybe 1% of users of Essence API will use it. Or even less.
I mean, it's just that it's complicated, right?
Yeah, it's complicated. It's very complicated.
Even for me, like for me, even trades are complicated. So
and the problem is that, for example, if you use the local or absolute path in your file system, yeah, and then if you, for example, change the name of the file, you exactly can, check that, okay, that document works, the reference works, but I changed the name, so I can, very easily change the ref, yeah, because you only, for example, change only the name of the file. But if you have this ID, and if you, for example, change the location of the file with this ID, so yeah, you don't know where that ID was before changing the name. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of problems from my side.
Yeah, it makes everything a lot more complex than it
Yeah.
should be. But I think that for a tool that can offer both solutions would be fine. For example, in one use case, it would remotely fetch this schema, and in the other use case, it would automatically map it. So I think there's I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's so weird because it's two standards that are trying to pull each other in one direction. And it's like, well, what do you listen to? On the other hand, we can also say that in the specific tool, this will not be supported. And just goes straight to that. Whatever you define within this schema here, that would understand compound schemas. But in an async API document, it wouldn't. So for example, take that, let's say that this display name is somewhat the same reference here, and you have a definition property here, then it would understand it, because then it's in the context of a JSON schema document, and there it is supported to have these compound schemas. So entirely JSON schema, right? But this wouldn't be supported, and this would just be an absolute path to this, and that's it. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Or kind of, or not? No.
I mean, I have to admit something, like publicly. I don't want to use these words. Let's use good words, because I don't want to offend anyone. So I'm so weak. Maybe that's not offending anyone. So I'm really so weak that there's just one thing in JSON schema I never understood: the concept of ID as a URL. So for me, the confusion starts in this concept, even on the lowest level. Like, why ID is the URL? Why ID is not an ID? Because for me, somehow in my brain, it does not map these two values. And I think it also affects my thinking long term, like on all the features kind of linked to this concept of ID. It's just like my head is not able to overcome. So that's why I'm basically against or not in favor of this such support. Because for me, like from the very beginning, the ID, I could never understand it in JSON schema. Like $ID was always for me super weird.
And remember, it's a URI, not an URL, but so it could be just user signed up, for example, and that's it.
Yeah. But in all official examples, it's always URL. Always.
Yes. I agree. I agree. So, how do we move that along? I think I'm gonna suggest here that from an async API point of view, it would never be the case that it should automatically match these but within the schema itself, it could happen. Because this is just JSON schema. It has nothing to do with async API anymore at all. So yeah, I think I'm gonna suggest
the schema parser should, you know, you mean like the schema parser for draft 2019, whatever, should understand it. That's what you mean.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that feature would be possible to do here within this schema, but it would not be possible to do here.
Yeah. But of course, I'm not sure if others already discussed that. Did you have opinions from others?
Just Henry, if I recall correctly. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, give people a chance to watch this recording, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, then it kind of comes back to what do we, this part here, is that async API or is that JSON schema?
Async API. Yeah, I mean, async API says the payload can be reference object and reference object is reference object.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I think that makes the most sense, actually. Yeah. All right. Enough headache for today. Then we can take one next time as well. I got 4 more to go. But the next ones are probably going to be more easy because once we discuss these, which are the more complex ones, the rest of them kind of falls into place because it's just variants of it. So, yeah. All right, that's it. That's what I had. Does anyone else have anything to add? Or are we finishing early?
Just wanted to say that I had a good day.
I'm glad I could destroy it.
No, it wasn't that bad. And yes, I promise to leave comments publicly because I'm not sure if folks are watching really the the JSON schema folks.
Probably not. But who knows?
Yeah. And by the way, in the comments, I left the link to Queen's song. It's
Yes,
kind of magic.
I saw it. And
Watch
I
it.
was like, yes, I heard it before. It was just your bad singing that made.
I told you, like, it's I'm not saying I'm a good singer, so just
at least you can sing in public. That's a good first step.
it's hard.
Yes, I can only imagine. All right, let's finish off then. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.